we've tried everything. I heard those three words, we've tried everything, but between the unbearable pain and my liver, kidneys, bone marrow, heart, and lungs all shutting down, I didn't really know what my doctors meant until my family came into my room and said their final goodbyes. A few moments later, a priest came into my room and read me my last rites. I was 25 years old. 6 months before, I was a healthy third-year medical student training to become an oncologist in memory of my mom and a former college football player when I became suddenly ill with a rare disease called Castleman disease. In a last-ditch effort to try to save my life, my doctors gave me a combination of 7 different chemotherapies. Somehow I survived. But unfortunately, I would go on to have 4 deadly relapses in the next 3 years, and no one, myself included, thought that I could ever survive another relapse. I knew that my only hope would be to find a drug that was developed for another disease that I could maybe repurpose to try to save my life. And I knew that was possible because many diseases share common mechanisms and therefore can be treated with the same drug. So I started performing experiments on my own blood samples, serum proteomics, flow cytometry, immunohistochemistry, and from within the data emerged a drug that was hiding in plain sight. It's called sirolimus. It was sitting on my pharmacy shelf while I was in and out of the ICU for 3 years, and no one had ever tried it before for Castleman disease. So I started testing it on myself, and though I nearly died 5 times in a 3-year period, I've now been in remission for over 8.5 years. And our discoveries have gone on to save thousands of lives. During this remission, I was able to get married to my incredible wife, Caitlin. We were able to have 2 beautiful children, Amelia and DC. I wrote a book about my journey called Chasing My Cure, which we have a bunch of copies for you guys out in the lobby. And I was able to join the faculty at the University of Pennsylvania so I could continue chasing cures. We've also identified 10 additional repurposed treatments for Castleman disease and also for cancer over the last 8 years. We led an international effort to systematically evaluate COVID-19 treatments, including the repurposed drugs dexamethasone and tocilizumab, which have also saved so many lives. These are just a few of the patients whose lives have been saved by our work at the University of Pennsylvania, patients who had a cure that was at the pharmacy that no one would ever thought to try, but we uncovered, and these people are alive because of it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of work that we still have to do. In fact, 1 in 10 of you, 1 in 10 of your children, and 1 in 10 of your grandchildren either has a rare disease or will develop a rare disease. And 95% of these rare diseases don't have a single FDA-approved therapy. So 1 in 3 of those kids will not survive to kindergarten. And since it costs over $1 billion and takes more than 10 years to develop a new drug from scratch, we're going to have to wait centuries to find treatments for all these patients. And while repurposing old drugs for new uses is far faster and cheaper than new drug development, there are major problems that result in drugs like the drug that's saving my life sitting on the shelf. These 3 problems are: first, no organization is responsible for fully unlocking the role of every single drug. Not the FDA, not the NIH, not pharmaceutical companies. No one is responsible for making sure drugs are used for every disease possible. Second, there's no centralized database tracking drugs and diseases that could result in further progress. And finally, companies are not incentivized to do repurposing, especially for generic drugs. And so this puts us in a really difficult position where, as a result of all of these problems, we have 3,000 FDA-approved drugs, but they're only approved for about 3,000 diseases, which means there are 9,000 human diseases that don't have a single FDA-approved drug. How many of these drugs could actually be treatments for you or for someone you love? We just haven't uncovered it yet. So along with President Clinton and my co-founder, Grant Mitchell, we'll be launching a new initiative on this coming Monday at the Clinton Global Initiative called Every Cure, on a mission to identify and unlock every single use for every single drug that is sitting at your neighborhood pharmacy. Along with partners in the pharmaceutical industry, philanthropy, and tech, we're building a comprehensive database for drug repurposing, matching as many drugs with as many diseases as possible. And with these partners, some of which are listed on the screen, we've already received data and donations totaling $4 million towards the $12 million that we need to launch by the end of the year. With every additional $3 million that we raise beyond this project, we'll be in a position to launch an additional clinical trial for the most promising repurposing opportunity. And in our first pilot that we've done of 147 diseases, we've already identified 106 promising repurposing opportunities. As you can see on the screen, it's a four-step approach. Identify the link, grade the link, study them in clinical trials, and ensure equitable access. And given that 90% of drugs are already generic, these are going to be cheap and accessible to patients all over the world. So what I'm asking for you all today is three things. I should not be standing here, and I don't know how much longer I will be here. But as long as there are patients like Raj and Gary and Lisa who are waiting for cures that are sitting at the pharmacy, we're going to continue to search for them. So those three things. First, we need funding to be able to build the data engine and launch clinical trials. Second, we need tech companies to help us to fully leverage the power of AI. And third, we need pharmaceutical companies and others to contribute data on existing drugs that could be used in new ways. I hope you all will join us on this mission to find every cure that is out there so that no patient suffers and is told everything has been tried when there's a cure on the shelf. Thank you all so much.